a little bit of trash talk to really get me set off, but he's been talking a lot. He's been calling me out for 2 years, you know what I mean? So it's basically, you know what I mean, I'm gonna shut this guy up. You know,
Your emotions might get the best of you?
No, I'm not. I'm a professional. I've been doing this, I've been professional 11 years. You know what I mean? I have way more experience. The fight that did let my emotions get to me was Caleb Plant, but you know, you learn from the experience, and I intend to use my experience to the best of my advantage. This fight, we're gonna do different stuff. We're gonna be throwing combinations off the bat, and as soon as I let my combinations go, you see that the best David Benavidez gets seen. So I'm not looking for one shot. Like I said, I'm gonna punish this dude, and I'm gonna punish him on every angle. Body shots, head shots, you know, uppercuts, whatever it is, I'm gonna punish him.
Before the fight, many boxers and experts shared their predictions. Ricardo Celis, an anchor for ProBox, believed the matchup would turn into an all-out war, with both fighters pushing forward. He gave Benavidez a slight edge due to his experience and the way he effectively used his jab. However, Celis noted that Morrell would likely begin to feel the pressure of Benavidez's power as the rounds progressed, making things more difficult for him as the fight wore on. Celis expected Benavidez to control the fight with his relentless aggression, but also recognized that Morrell was a dangerous opponent who could withstand pressure and deliver counterattacks.
How you doing, David? This is Najee from Cigar Talk. Congratulations on your victory tonight. You fought a bunch of elite opponents, you know, throughout your career, between, you know, Caleb Plant and Andrade, and of course now Morrell. Can you talk about where he ranks just as far as difficulty, you know, between your past opponents?
He hits harder than everybody I faced. He's obviously because 175, so he's a good fighter, but I think just my experience alone, I've seen so much different styles. You know, I've seen Caleb Plant, Demetrius Andrade, Bosick, Anthony Durrell. Who else?
Ricardo Celis said, "I think Benavidez versus Morrell will be a real war between two fighters who come forward. Benavidez may have a slight edge because of his experience and his effective jab. Morrell is going to feel the pressure as he starts to feel the power of the Mexican monster." Tris Dixon from Boxing Scene was also excited about the matchup, calling it the kind of fight that seemed too good to be true. He acknowledged the questions surrounding the fight, whether it was too soon for Morrell or too dangerous for Benavidez, but ultimately felt that the fight was happening at just the right time. Dixon was confident that the fighters' styles would mesh perfectly, creating an all-action brawl between two men who brought skill, ambition, power, and a desire to face the best. Tris Dixon said, "What a terrific fight. You know it's a great matchup when you're not sure if it's actually been confirmed or if it's just fake news making the rounds. Is it too early for Morrell? Is it too risky for Benavidez? Regardless, it's hard not to see these styles meshing. We know what we get from both fighters: skill, ambition, power, and the will to fight the best." One particular aspect that intrigued Dixon was the bad blood between the two fighters. He hoped that the built-up tension would lead to an aggressive start, setting the stage for a fast-paced, breathless firefight.
At this moment, I've trained extremely hard, and now we're ready. You know, now we're coming with all energy, not like this pussy right here. Peace and love. What was all that that you were talking about back then? Look, now this guy's nervous. I'm gonna beat the out of you. And I hope you don't have no excuses, because you look scared as right now. To be honest, you can smile, you do all you want, but watch. When you step into that ring this Saturday, that's El Monstro's world, and you're gonna see exactly what the made of.
In Dixon's view, Benavidez would likely have to weather some rough patches, possibly even getting knocked down at some point, but in the end, his relentless volume and sheer willpower would carry him to victory. Dixon saw this fight as a battle of attrition, where Benavidez's ability to take punishment and keep throwing punches would ultimately decide the outcome. "I've been getting ready extremely hard for this moment," Dixon added, highlighting the intense preparation both fighters put in for the showdown. "I've trained extremely hard, and now we're ready. We're coming with all the energy, not like before with all that peace and love talk. What was all that about back then? Look at you now. You're nervous. I'm gonna beat the hell out of you, and I hope you don't have any excuses. You look scared right now, to be honest. You can smile and act like everything is fine, but wait until we step into that ring this Saturday. You'll see a real monster, and you're going to realize exactly what I'm made of." Spock from East News was just as excited about the fight, calling it one of the biggest of the year. His connection to Benavidez runs deep. He remembers watching Benavidez train with Manny Pacquiao when he was just 11 years old. He saw firsthand how the young fighter developed into the dominant force he is today. Spock viewed this fight as a true clash between two exceptional fighters, but he was picking Benavidez to win by late stoppage. For Spock, this fight was pure entertainment from start to finish. He expected every moment to be thrilling, with neither fighter backing down. Even though he predicted a Benavidez stoppage, he knew Morrell wouldn't go down easily. This made it an edge-of-your-seat showdown, one that could potentially steal the spotlight as one of the best fights of the year. Spock said, "I can't wait for February 1st. It's one of the biggest fights of the year. I used to watch Benavidez when he was just 11 years old, training with Manny Pacquiao. I've seen him grow, and now he's fighting the very tough David Morrell Jr., who is also a tremendous fighter. I'm picking Benavidez by late stoppage, but it's going to be a fantastic fight. It's must-watch TV, and every second will be exciting." In a recent interview, David Benavidez expressed his belief that defeating David Morrell would help him secure a showdown with Canelo Alvarez at 175 pounds. Benavidez emphasized that he doesn't like anyone he fights, and a little bit of trash talk is enough to get him fired up. Morrell had been calling him out for 2 years, and Benavidez was ready to shut him down. Benavidez said, "I don't like anyone I fight. It only takes a little trash talk to get me going, and this guy has been talking a lot. He's been calling me out for 2 years, so now I'm gonna shut him up. But no, I'm not letting my emotions get the best of me. I'm a professional. I've been doing this for 11 years, and I have way more experience than he does. The fight where I didn't let my emotions affect me was against Caleb Plant, but you learn from those experiences, and I'm going to use them to my advantage in this fight." He continued, "We're going to do things differently this time. We'll be throwing combinations from the start. As soon as I let my combinations go, you'll see the best version of David Benavidez. I'm not looking for a one-punch knockout. I'm going to punish this guy, hitting him from every angle. Body shots, head shots, uppercuts, whatever it takes. I'm going to punish him." I knew that one day they would ask for this fight, and it's amazing to see how much attention it's getting now. Right now, I think I'm winning even more by him putting it off, because people are seeing that they offered him $70 million to fight me, and that's before the pay-per-view numbers, so imagine after that. David Benavidez went on to discuss the offer and how Canelo's team had handled it. What Canelo does is pay guys flat fees. They offered me $5 million, and I said, "Cool, we agreed," but then we never heard back. They were calling the bluff. They wanted to see if I would say yes or no. They thought I would turn down the fight because of the money, but I called their bluff and said yes, and that was the last time I heard about that fight. Benavidez expressed his frustration, stating that Canelo hasn't shown any interest in facing him, opting instead for opponents that pique his interest. But this fight is inevitable. Everyone's asking for it. It's the biggest fight that can possibly be made. Benavidez continued, "I'm not scared of Canelo. I believe I can beat him, and that's essentially what I've been doing with David Morrell. He's been talking a lot, saying I can't beat him, and what am I doing? I'm going to face him. That's what a true champion should do." He didn't hold back when addressing Canelo directly. "If I'm sitting here telling Canelo I can knock him out and beat him, why doesn't he come and shut me up? He could make a lot of money doing it. Right now, he's fighting easier opponents and making $30 million, but if he fights me, he makes triple that, so it only makes sense." Benavidez also shared his plans for the future. "I feel like Canelo knows this is the toughest fight for him, and in his head, he knows he could lose. That's the reality I believe in. He's not scared of me. But he knows that if he loses, he might have to retire. That's why he's avoiding this fight. His ambitions are clear. My plan now is to beat David Morrell and then go up to 175 to win the undisputed title. That way, I can entice a fight with Canelo. Maybe we can do a catch weight at 172 inches. I'm not sure if they would allow it, but to make things even more unlikely, he believes he can convince Canelo to move up to light heavyweight for a showdown. This scenario seems highly improbable, as Canelo has shown no interest in facing an opponent who could have a 25-pound weight advantage come fight night. He already faced a similar challenge with Edgar Berlanga and struggled. Benavidez also mentioned that it would be the highest paying fight in all of boxing. He pointed out that Tyson Fury earned $150 million, and Usyk received a similar amount. Benavidez thinks Canelo is putting the price out there to let people know what the cost would be. However, experts don't see Turkey offering Canelo $150 million. It seems unrealistic, especially considering the situation with Bivol's fight with Morrell. Benavidez expressed his frustration, stating that Canelo hasn't shown any interest in facing him, opting instead for opponents that pique his interest. But this fight is inevitable. Everyone's asking for it. It's the biggest fight that can possibly be made. Benavidez continued, "I'm not scared of Canelo. I believe I can beat him, and that's essentially what I've been doing with David Morrell. He's been talking a lot, saying I can't beat him, and what am I doing? I'm going to face him. That's what a true champion should do." He didn't hold back when addressing Canelo directly. "If I'm sitting here telling Canelo I can knock him out and beat him, why doesn't he come and shut me up? He could make a lot of money doing it. Right now, he's fighting easier opponents and making $30 million, but if he fights me, he makes triple that, so it only makes sense." Benavidez also shared his plans for the future. "I feel like Canelo knows this is the toughest fight for him, and in his head, he knows he could lose. That's the reality I believe in. He's not scared of me, but he knows that if he loses, he might have to retire. That's why he's avoiding this fight. His ambitions are clear. My plan now is to beat David Morrell and then go up to 175 to win the undisputed title. That way, I can entice a fight with Canelo. Maybe we can do a catch weight at 172 inches. I'm not sure if they would allow it, but to make things even more unlikely, he believes he can convince Canelo to move up to light heavyweight for a showdown. This scenario seems highly improbable, as Canelo has shown no interest in facing an opponent who could have a 25-pound weight advantage come fight night. He already faced a similar challenge with Edgar Berlanga and struggled. Benavidez also mentioned that it would be the highest paying fight in all of boxing. He pointed out that Tyson Fury earned $150 million and Usyk received a similar amount. Benavidez thinks Canelo is putting the price out there to let people know what the cost would be. However, experts don't see Turkey offering Canelo $150 million. It seems unrealistic, especially considering the situation with Bivol's fight with Morrell. For now, Benavidez remains focused on the present. "We're not thinking about Canelo right now," he said. "Our focus is on David Morrell, and after that, we're going to win the undisputed title." Meanwhile, trainer Jose Benavidez Sr. has stated that Caleb Plant is a superior fighter compared to David Morrell. He believes he made a mistake by having Plant face Benavidez at such an early stage in his career. David Benavidez is an exciting fighter, a fan-friendly fighter. He's someone you won't regret watching because he brings a lot of excitement to the ring, said Jose Sr. in an interview with Mill City Boxing, talking about Saturday's fight between David Morrell and David Benavidez. Jose Benavidez Sr. also shared that this has been the best camp they've ever had. He explained that both mentally and physically, David Benavidez is at another level. He mentioned that Benavidez has matured and developed his man strength, which will make him a more powerful version of himself in the ring. When asked if Caleb Plant is better than David Morrell, Jose Sr. replied, "Yes, I would say so." He then added, "My question is, why did they match Morrell with David? I think that was a big mistake." However, what Jose Sr. may not fully realize is that none of the fighters he mentions have shown any real desire to face Morrell. Even if they did step into the ring, it wouldn't do much for Morrell's career, as these fighters are all past their prime. Andrade at 36 and Dirrell, now 40, are both well into the later stages of their careers. Dirrell has not fought in 3 years, with his last fight being a knockout loss to Caleb Plant in 2022. While Plant is still in his prime, it seems unlikely that he would take on David Morrell anytime soon. Benavidez Sr. mentioned that if he were managing Plant, he would likely avoid such a matchup. He believes it was a mistake to put his fighter, Caleb Plant, against someone like Benavidez. We still don't know exactly what Morrell is capable of. He only has 11 professional fights under his belt. In his most recent bout, he faced some difficulties against an opponent named Ravo Goavo, someone not widely known in the boxing world. That fight, which took place last August, showed that Morrell still has areas where he could improve. Benavidez Sr. had wanted Morrell to face a more experienced fighter before moving on to the bigger names. His reasoning behind avoiding a fight with Morrell highlights why it took both him and his son, David Benavidez, so long to entertain the idea of facing the Cuban fighter. Despite Morrell calling them out as early as 2022, the Benavidez team waited until recently, after David's fight with Rivo, before considering a challenge. It's clear that there is some hesitation from the Benavidez camp regarding the fight with Morrell. Do you think Morrell has what it takes to beat a fighter like Benavidez? Drop your thoughts in the comments below and make sure to check out our other videos for the latest updates on the boxing world.